total knowledge of health, multimodality approach, which covers the whole range of natural law, balancing all levels of health. On the left side, we see the different areas from mind, body, behavior, society, and environment, different levels of health. And on the right side, the preventive and therapeutic modalities. So we have here that areas which cover the influence from outside, Vedic astrology, then public health and world peace, practicing in yogic flying in large groups, Vedic architecture, Vedic organic agriculture. And then we have the areas of Ayurveda proper, where we see here daily and seasonal routines, and dinacharya and ritucharya, Ayurvedic diet, rejuvenation therapy with rasayanas, massage therapy, abhyanga and marma, purification therapy, panchakarma, and also, of course, yoga asanas and pranayama. And then we have a very interesting area, and this is the therapeutic use of all the five senses. And this is a unique aspect in Maharishi Ayurveda, that the senses have a great influence of our well-being and the overall state of health. And it is said that the five senses can be either overused and too much input and very intensive input, or too little input to the senses, or some distorted input. Now, in this case, when we speak about Maharishi aromatherapy, of course, everyone thinks now we speak mainly about the sense of smell. Of course, it's most important, but there are also the other senses are involved. And as we can see, the next slide. So here first I wanted to show also we can see this level of the different therapies and how it progresses, in that sense that it is consciousness-based medicine, all aspects of Maharishi Ayurveda, starting with Atma, the self-referent interaction, creates the sounds, the frequencies, the Veda, and then which are then expressed in the body as Sharira, and then further in the universe in Vishwa. So with these therapies and preventive and therapeutic aspects, we cover the whole range of natural law. Now here, when we go through the senses, very important aspect is that all what we experience through the five senses has to be metabolized, and ideally into the experience of bliss. So therefore, all the five senses have to be purified. So we say here on the right side, the sense of touch, processed in the somatic sensory cortex, when we do abhyanga, marma, panchakarma, but also in case of Maharishi AyurVeda aromatherapy, because also the essential oils are with a carrier oil applied on the skin. So also the sense of touch is involved. Then the sense of vision, color and light therapy, hearing. Of course, there we have the sound therapy, Maharishi Vedic sound therapy, listening to Vedic recitations, Gandharva Veda music. Then sense of taste. In Ayurveda, the 6 tastes play an important role, because there you can control the effect on the 3 doshas, the 3 governing principles of the physiology. And also here, because some of the essential oils we take internally, so also the sense of taste is involved. And then, of course, finally, we have the sense of smell, processed then in the primary olfactory cortex, and there metabolized into the experience of bliss. And this is very special for Maharishi AyurVeda aromatherapy. When you work with essential oils, then there's always this feeling of lightness, of bliss and happiness.
For this beautiful overview showing where Maharishi aromatherapy fits in amongst all that total knowledge of health, covering every aspect from the deepest holistic consciousness level through the body to the environment.
This is a picture of clary sage. It's a beautiful flower from which the essential oil of clary sage is derived. And on the next slide, we're going to start from the basics here, from a general definition of aromatherapy first, and then we will move on to understanding more the uniqueness of Maharishi AyurVeda aromatherapy. Aromatherapy in general can be defined as the science and art of promoting physical, mental, and emotional health through the use of essential oils. And this last part of the definition is very important because using essential oils is different from using the herbs from which the essential oils are derived. It's different from experiencing other smells. And this is because of the unique chemical composition of essential oils. And on the next slide, we see that in Maharishi AyurVeda aromatherapy based on Maharishi AyurVeda introduces the element of consciousness, and Dr. Mölk touched on this already. It gives the understanding that the ideal of perfect health and enlightenment is achieved by handling health from the level from which it emerges, which is the field of immortality, pure consciousness. And this is quite important, and Dr. Mölk has already mentioned that this is a holistic knowledge. Maharishi AyurVeda is holistic, and so is aromatherapy based on Maharishi AyurVeda. And on the next slide, we see that in Maharishi AyurVeda aromatherapy, we are enlivening consciousness, which is the inner intelligence of body and mind, to restore wholeness and balance for perfect health. And this idea of restoring wholeness is quite important. I'm going to show you how, a little bit. And of course, balance is needed for perfect health, and so we will talk a little bit about how we create balance in the physiology. And on the next slide, we can see that alternative healthcare methods are becoming more and more popular. In general, alternative health methods and therapies, they see the person as a whole. So they don't do just disease-based medicine or disease-based aromatherapy or any modality of alternative healthcare. They see the individual as a whole. Some are more and some are less effective. And some people believe that the future of healthcare lies in fields such as aromatherapy, precisely because it is quite effective. Herbal medicine, and Maharishi AyurVeda is herbal medicine par excellence. Also homeopathy and acupuncture, and in our case we have marmotherapy. So people recognizing general, so we're not talking about Maharishi aromatherapy here, but about aromatherapy in general, that it is quite holistic and quite effective. On the next slide, we start to see how Maharishi AyurVeda contributes to the field of aromatherapy. And this is a definition that's contained in the Charaka Samhita, which is one of the 40 areas of Veda and the Vedic literature, and which deals specifically with Ayurveda. And there we find that the body of every living being is always the abode of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And one should know whether they are in natural, balanced, or unnatural, imbalanced condition. So they refers to Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, the doshas. So when they are in their natural state, they're balanced. When not, when in an unnatural condition, they are imbalanced. In Maharishi AyurVeda, as in aromatherapy, what we do is we reestablish the state of balance by balancing the doshas. And on the next slide, you can see a table which shows the dosha effects of essential oils. I like to show this one to make it clear how essential oils can be vata pacifying, or pitta pacifying, or kapha pacifying, or vata kapha pacifying, or vata pitta pacifying, and how then the knowledge of Maharishi AyurVeda makes an enormous contribution to aromatherapy by reestablishing this wholeness and this balance in the physiology and the psychology and on every level of individual existence. And in the next slide, we will start to see how holistic this is and how we bring about this state of balance. And again, we take recourse from the Vedic literature, and this is again the definition from Maharishi AyurVeda of a healthy person. And it tells us that one whose doshas are balanced, and now we have seen the doshas, and now we're going to talk also about Agni, which is digestive fire, dhatus, the tissues of the body, malas, which are the elimination processes, and also we will talk about the senses, or indriya, the mind, or manas, and the self, or atma. And on all these levels, there has to be balance for a person to be healthy. So one whose doshas are balanced, and whose digestive fire, or Agni, is balanced, whose bodily tissues, or dhatus, and elimination processes, or malas, are functioning normally, and whose senses, or indriya, mind, manas, and self, atma, are filled with bliss, such a one is called a healthy person. So we start to see even the element of bliss here, and that it's not far-fetched to think in terms of bliss in the physiology through the approaches of Maharishi AyurVeda, because this is actually one of the important aspects of what a healthy person looks like. So what I did was I took one essential oil at random. Because digestion is so important for health, I did choose an essential oil that is very good for digestion, particularly good for digestion as an example, but I really took one at random because I wanted to see, can we really achieve this? You know, how realistic is it that in one stroke we can create such level of balance and wholeness in a person with essential oils? So on the next slide, we see that I picked the essential oil of coriander seed, to see if the properties of coriander seed oil really, and this is essential oil, really can promise to promote this level of balance on all these levels. So here you see a definition of the properties of coriander seed essential oil. It is a digestive tonic, it stimulates digestive juices, it improves appetite, and all of this has to do with Agni, or digestive fire. So it strengthens Agni. It is detoxifying, and therefore it brings the doshas back to balance by eliminating ama, or that part of the digestion that is not done properly, or undigested product of digestion, or called ama. And when you reduce ama, you detoxify, and this will bring the doshas back to balance, and it will also bring the dhatus, or bodily tissues, back to balance. But it also reduces gas, sluggish digestion, constipation, and therefore benefits elimination processes, or malas, and it eases muscle and joint aches and stiffness, and therefore benefits again the dhatus. And this is just one level. Of course, the improvement is holistic and on every level at the same time. So these are some of the physical properties, but there are also the mental and emotional benefits of the essential oil. It is a neurotonic, so it's a tonic to the nervous system. It's strengthening, calming, relaxing, uplifting, and therefore it benefits the senses and the mind, so Indriya and Manas. It's euphoric, and therefore it has an effect on, again, senses, mind, and Atma, or bliss. And it relieves fatigue, worry, anxiety, sadness, and depression, again, with a very direct connection to the senses, the mind, and the level of bliss, or Atma. So as you can see, we have been talking about wholeness and balance here. In one stroke, with one essential oil, you produce all of these benefits. It's just amazing how holistic this is. And the other aspect of this, and you can see the little sign to the right side of the name coriander seed, which is a P minus, and this means that it reduces pitta. So one side of this is all these imbalances in the physiology and in the psychology that you can tackle, and the other side of it is that you can do this by balancing pitta in a very specific way. This is why I say we don't do disease-based aromatherapy or disease-based medicine. We balance the doshas. And learning about Maharishi AyurVeda aromatherapy is learning about how to bring about this state of balance in the doshas, while at the same time tackling specific health concerns. If you can show the next slide, I will show you tridoshic essential oils, because if you haven't learned the method yet, but you want to have the benefits of aromatherapy, then you can use tridoshic essential oils because they balance Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in everyone. So these are some of the tridoshic essential oils that you can use, and then you would have to see which of their properties fit your specific condition that you want to improve. If you want, for example, an energizing essential oil, you can use cabriúva, which is the first one on the list. People normally pronounce this differently, but this is the name, cabriúva. And you can also use helichrysum. And these are, again, very holistic essential oils with many, many health benefits. So these are energizing, stimulating essential oils. If you want calming essential oils, then you can use English lavender. Normally in aromatherapy, the names are mentioned like this: first the main name and then the modifier. So it would be English lavender, but people say lavender English or lavender super. A calming essential oil would be, for example, English lavender or spikenard. So these are essential oils that you can use either in a microdiffuser or an aroma lamp. Spikenard would not be used in a microdiffuser because it's a very thick oil. And normally helichrysum is also used in an aroma lamp, just as in the case of spikenard. So you need to know in which kind of diffuser you use each one, but you can diffuse them in the environment to either produce an energizing kind of influence or a calming kind of influence. On the next slide, we see this quote from Maharishi, and this is what Maharishi said: the ability to metabolize all sensory experience into the experience of bliss is the ability for prevention. And prevention is the basis of Maharishi AyurVeda. All the 5 channels of perception, the 5 senses, must be so clear that all experiences through any of the five senses always inspire bliss. So aromatherapy is one way through which you refine the senses in order to ultimately produce the experience of bliss. Some people even say it shouldn't be called aromatherapy, it should be called essential oil therapy, because there is the aspect of the sense of smell, but also taste and also touch, because you can apply them on the skin.